This is To the Point with Michael Williams.
Good morning and welcome to the Florida Vote. Your vote. What will it take for President Trump or his Democratic challenger, Joe Biden, to earn it? My guest today, Peter Feaman, Republican National Committeeman, and Florida State Senator Bobby Powell, also the chair of the Florida Legislative Black Caucus. He represents District 30, both gentlemen from Palm Beach County, and we appreciate you being with us. Senator Powell, will begin with you, but the question really for both. Republicans seem bound and determined, as the president does, to make law and order the theme of this campaign, the safety of our communities. Democrats hammering away at the COVID response and criticism that he's not handled it well, and also the broader theme of racial justice. Which do you think will resonate more with the Florida voter? We'll begin with you, Senator Powell.
Well, thank you, Michael, and I appreciate you for having us this morning. One of the things that I would indicate here in Florida and Palm Beach County as a whole, I'm on a call with the Palm Beach County Legislative Delegation as well as our congressional delegation that includes both Senator Rick Scott and Senator Marco Rubio, as well as our Republican colleagues. We get an update twice a week from the county, and we discuss all of the issues centered on coronavirus. What we've realized is that with over 600,000 cases of coronavirus in the state of Florida and over 40,000 cases in Palm Beach County, there are a lot of people who have been worried about what coronavirus is doing. We've had over 1,100 deaths in Palm Beach County, over 10,000 deaths in the state of Florida. I've known people who have died from the coronavirus. So that's been very, very impactful. We're getting ready to enter phase 2 in Palm Beach County, and you've seen that people are afraid for their children to go to school. Also, when you talk about law and order, we've seen it all over the nation where there has been protests related to some excessive use of force issues. Now, I will tell you that Vice President Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee, is not the candidate that's going to say he's a person who does not respect law enforcement. You've got Kamala Harris. These individuals will be working together to relieve some of the tension that we're seeing in our communities.
Senator Powell, just very briefly, what grade do you believe voters you represent would give the president on coronavirus, and will it be a big factor in their vote? What grade do you give them, A to F?
To be truthful, I would give him an incomplete, because he's not really showed up with regard to coronavirus. He has ignored it. He has told people that it will just disappear. There's been times where he has said that it's a hoax. So if you don't give him an incomplete, you would give him something close to a 0, maybe even a negative.
Let's hear from Mr. Feaman. You've heard Democrats are trying to say the COVID response, the economic issues that we've had, the hurt that so many people are feeling is because the president didn't respond early enough, thoughtfully enough, in a focused enough manner. On the other hand, you all are talking all law and order. Your thoughts on these themes and which you think resonate the most, Mr. Feaman, with the Florida voter?
Thank you, Michael, and good morning. Michael, it's the first job of government to provide for the safety of its citizens. And in Florida, Governor DeSantis has done a great job with that. In other states and cities run by Democrats, you can see that their priorities are not where they should be. But more importantly, with COVID, Michael, our concern is, has the cure been worse than the disease? There have been all across this country, but in Florida, most importantly, businesses that have been absolutely destroyed as a result of these shutdowns. I think Governor DeSantis has done a great job with this. And with regard to President Trump, you know, he's darned if he does and darned if he doesn't, because if he had instituted some national lockdown policy or a national face mask policy, the way that Mr. Biden wants to do, he would have been accused of being a dictator, overbearing, too much. Instead, he followed the Constitution. He let each state decide what was best for their state, because under the Constitution, one size does not fit all. And government that's closest to the people is better. And so I think Mr. Trump has taken the right approach. And let's not forget, very early on, the president shut down travel from China and then Europe, and he was criticized for that.
Mr. Feaman,
too much.
let me jump in.
president's taken has been good.
Let me jump in. The president's made it clear, and he said so in statements, you're not going to be safe in a Joe Biden America. Look what's happening in Democratic cities. Do you think law and order and what Vice President Joe Biden says is a president trying to throw gas on a fire, do you think the law and order theme is enough, is going to be enough to be the theme that wins for Republicans with Florida voters?
Is that for me or for Peter?
Peter, briefly, if we have you. I think we may have frozen on his shot, so pick it up, Senator Powell.
I would believe that that's absolutely incorrect. It would be disingenuous for the president to even indicate that that would be really the theme. The things that you're seeing,
Michael.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Senator.
I'm sorry. The things that you're seeing happen that the president says would happen in a Joe Biden America are actually happening in Trump's America, in the president's America. And I've never seen a president that doesn't realize that once you do become the president of the United States, you are the president of the United States, meaning that you no longer have the ability to differentiate or separate or even segregate between Democrats and Republicans. It's a time for unity. This president, if we're starting to give grades, I would say deserves an F in terms of bringing the entire country together. He's been silent on the issues that are most important to people. He's taken a long time to even discuss many of the issues. He has fiddled around in issues and areas that he should not have been in, including sports. For someone who has never looked like he's never played a sport other than golf, I think the president has definitely overstepped his bounds. As a leader, he's failed on being accessible. He's failed on being transparent and truthful. And definitely, I believe that the president has failed in terms of showing true leadership by being a unifier in a time of distress. So my indication would be this message that he's pushing does nothing but continue to divide us here in the United States. And what we really need right now is someone who will step up to the plate and be truthful, deal with every issue, deal with every side of the issue, and really bring people together again. I've seen this in a number of other politicians and political people, but I've yet to see it at the top when we deal with the president.
Senator Powell, we'll have to leave it there. We've lost our signal with Mr. Feaman. We'd like to get his response, but we will pick up on that. We appreciate your thoughts as this Florida vote. Florida, always a tough vote. It's been a close race, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if we've got Mr. Feaman. Do we have you back? Can you respond if we have you back here for a moment? Do we have you, Mr. Feaman? Can you hear me? Mr. Feaman?
I am back.
Just your thought.
I am back.
You heard, I hope, Senator Powell saying he thinks the president's been divisive in many respects, hasn't spoken to many issues. Many in the African-American community and beyond think he hasn't done nearly enough to speak to issues about race and equality and racial justice, and that he's using scare tactics here. Your take, your final thoughts.
Yeah, let's get back to basics, which is this. Mr. Trump is the proper president for the economy. Right now, that's the number one concern of the entire country, and there is no better person qualified to bring us back to where we were before this coronavirus hit. And by the way, with all due respect to Senator Powell, the African-American community was doing almost the best it's ever done economically under the policies of President Trump. And just the economics report that just came out for August shows that we're creating more jobs than anybody predicts. And this is a V-shaped recovery. And we need Mr. Trump to stay as the commander-in-chief for our economy to bring us back.
Mr. Feaman, we appreciate it. Republican National Committee man, Senator Bobby Powell. These are the themes and thoughts upon which Florida voters will make their decisions.
Well, Michael,
very briefly, Senator Powell, very briefly, please.
Very briefly. Under the president, what we've seen with the African-American community or the Black community is a continued expansion of the wealth gap between communities. So to say that the Black community is doing well, as a member of the Black community, I think that's disingenuous, and we have to continue to work to get there.
Senator Powell, Mr. Feaman, a robust debate that will continue. Two familiar faces to people in Palm Beach County. We'll be talking to you more, and we appreciate your time. And coming up, coronavirus, the crisis that has also caused Florida state courts to face legal logjams. That and more ahead.